Cryptid, Rise in the house, Cody Brooks in the house. We got the crew rolling in here on a Tuesday night, getting ready to do some toy making. Just getting the blasts out, letting everybody know that we're up and running, and then we are going to get rolling on some toy making here in just a minute. We are ready to go live. We're going to do some toy making tonight. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to my digital workshop. We are in Tinkercad tonight, doing some toy making. You can see some previous designs here. We did a camper shell to go on a diecast Hot Wheels monster truck. We did a ride truck attachment. You'll see ride trucks at monster truck shows sometimes. And today we're going to be working on, because it's winter here in New England. It's been freezing out. It's been cold. It's been snowy. We got some 18 inches where I live, 20 inches over the course of about a day and a half over the weekend. So it's on my mind. It's fresh. It's in my brain. We're going to be making a snow plow attachment and sanding buckets to go in the back of, I have this old, this is the Roadrunner series from, gosh, there's not even a year on it, but I know it's from the 80s. This very unique looking monster truck here. Oh, I still got my green screen on. It's making the tires look the right color. All right, hang on one sec. We're gonna fix that. There we go. We got this this very cool looking neon monster truck, and I chose this one for this project for a couple of very specific reasons. It has a very low profile on the front. It's got a very low wheelbase. I think that looks really cool. I think that's going to work really well for what we're doing here. Having a snow plow kind of on the front of that feels very natural. I like that it's a very basic pickup truck. That's kind of what you see doing a lot of the plowing out and about. And this back bed is nice and flat, nothing interrupting it, easy to design for, and it's kind of big and long. So we got a lot of space to play with to kind of mold the shape and make it look the way we want. See, Adam NX67 says, been kind of a meh 24 hours or so, so this is a nice break from reality. Hey, for all of us, man. Boy, yeah, needing a break from reality. So let's see. I'm just getting a careful look at what I have to work with here. So our sort of, depending on which part we start on first, our interface is either this front here, this sort of like what would be the bottom of the chassis. That's going to be where our snow plow is attaching. or the back bed is going to be where our sanding and salt bucket, whichever you're envisioning this having in it, will go. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pull up some reference images. So very quickly, we're gonna see what Google image search provides for us when we type in snowplow, and we're just gonna get a quick look here. We can see there's a lot of different variations here. We've got sort of just a plain sort of just front, just the actual plow piece that does the pushing. We have your sort of split plows, very sort of, when you put those on a monster truck, it's a very sort of Mad Max kind of vibe, you know. We also have, this is a little bit closer to sort of what I envision. The sort of having some lights, there's a bit of like a mechanism arm, and then there's one big fat plow that's kind of just a little bit diagonal, little kitty corner. Yeah, something like this image is kind of what I'm picturing. And I think we're going to keep that up as our sort of reference image here. Now, there's a few things to consider on this, because we can make this design as complicated or as simple as we like. I do think that there's something to be said for simplicity, because it reads more like a retro toy. And regular viewers will know that means a lot to me. I like old school toys. That's why I'm working on a monster truck toy from the 80s as my model. I like the simplicity. So there's something to be said for just a very simple piece. But when you look at, like, you can sort of see it here on this. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's these sort of back ridges that are there to make these larger plows more sturdy. We might consider doing something like that, having the sort of the support piece on there. So there's a lot to think about in the design, and I think the best thing we can do, the best way to get this moving, I'm gonna pick this as my sort of reference image, and I'm gonna keep that ready and nearby so that I can reference it as we work here. So let's go ahead, and we are going to create a new 3D design. And everyone can go ahead and let me know. I've got the sort of the chiptune music playing in the background. Let me know if that's too loud, if it's not loud enough. If you'd rather hear it than me, I get it. I understand. AdamNX67 says simplicity is nice. Also, when I was at Walmart, I checked out the toy car aisle. I think I maybe saw one truck. Yeah, right? It's all cars. There's no trucks anymore. When you do see a truck, it's like sort of like an SUV or something. It's not really, it's not a pickup truck. Or like maybe there might be like a big rig kind of thing, you know, something in that vein. Yeah, really kind of strange how you never see that stuff anymore. There we go. Yeah, it was like a Ford Rover. Yeah, like it's not bad. Like it's something, you know, and I'd rather have that than nothing, but yeah, not totally the same. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start basically the same way we always do, which is starting with the least fun part first, which is going to be our interface. We need to figure out how this piece is attaching, and my instinct is to just use something like double-sided tape or glue. I don't love the idea of permanently altering an old toy, but I also, those who are regular viewers know that I'm a firm believer that toys are meant to be enjoyed in whatever form that comes. I could try to make it very simple and just have a piece that sits here and sits on the ground just so it looks nice on a shelf. But at some point I would like to see these kind of, you know, I would like to make a little track for them. So I'd like it to be able to move, which means the plow has to be suspended up in the air and not touching the ground. So it's a lot to consider. Let's see, I did snatch a Neon Speeders from Hot Wheels, about $3.50. It's not too terrible. It's a neat little 62 Corvette, black and pink. Oh, hell yeah. That sounds sick. All right, so As with so many designs, we are starting with a cube. We have to start with something. And I do like the more simple view here. I find it a little easier to work in. So I want to design, yeah, I think if it'll show on camera, there's sort of a nice 90-degree angle right here between this piece and this piece. And I think that's going to be our sort of inflection point. There are some ridges, which I believe you'll be able to see here, that are going to complicate the interface here. And I don't think I need to recreate that exactly. I think what I need to do is make sure that those parts aren't touched by what we're making. So I think I can literally just work from sort of a solid arm here. And the plan, I think, will be double-sided tape. I'll hold this on with double stick tape. The stuff works well, it's strong, it's cheap, it's not permanent. I think it's a good solution. Looks sick with black and pink lines on the side. Ooh, that does sound good. That's good color contrast too. Yeah, one of the other reasons I picked this, I don't know if it'll show on camera, but it does have like a towing company written on the back there. And that reads to me like who you would hire to come plow the driveway. So we're going to envision this as who would show up to plow the driveway if they showed up with a monster truck. All right, get a little sip of some iced coffee here. All right, feeling good, ready to rock and roll here. So our first measurement, and those regular viewers once again will know, digital calipers, absolutely invaluable tool if you are a 3D designer. These give me incredibly accurate measurements, and all the way down to the 100th of a millimeter. All right, so we're gonna need, that's our empty space, that's our max space, which doesn't give a ton of room for interface, but that's all right. So 16.8 millimeters is going to be one distance here. Call this 6.8. Boom. And now this other size I'm going to make here is going to be sort of how far out we want it to stick. It's sort of a depth, right? New gimmick for Perry, the Plow King. Call Mr. Plow, that's my name, that name again, it's Mr. Plow. Okay, so for our back piece that attaches here, 6.36 is what I'm saying. I'm going to call it 6.25. We're going to make it just a little bit shy so that there's a little bit of room for that sticky tape. So we're going to call this like 6.25. Boom. Okay. And then for height, I think I'm going to want this to come down a fair bit. I want a good chunky meaty piece on here for this to attach with. I want a lot of surface area to make contact. That way the piece isn't constantly falling off. Looks like 10.7 is going to be our height. 10.7. Boom. No, didn't like that. All right, boom. Hey, boom. There we go. 10.7. Boom. There, that's what I want. And as always, I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to add a tiny bit of radius to it, because to me, it reads more like toy when you have slightly soft edges. It's got that plastic look. My printers are very capable of a nice, hard, sharp, clean edge, and we will definitely be using that on the actual plow piece. But for the sake of the little connector bits, I think a nice clean toy look is really what we're after. Now I do need to make a little opening in between there. So we're going to do that with a piece that's going to be a negative here in just a sec. That we're going to make about 12.5 wide. So all right, we're going to take that. This one, we're going to lose the radius entirely. This is going to be a very solid piece. And this one, we're going to go 12.5. Make it a little bit taller. Make make it a little bit lower. We're going to make it a negative. And now we need to get a nice top view on this. It actually already appears fairly well centered on this, but oh yeah, that's centered right there. Okay, perfect. So we're going to take it and just boop, boop, boop. And then we do need to extend it so it goes all the way through. But then really, it only needs to go to about like there. Like that's plenty. Okay, and now we're just gonna group that. All right, so that's our interface. This side is where the truck goes. This side is where the plow goes. So the truck attaches back here, the plow attaches up here. That's the boring part of this design, right? That's just an interface for how it's going to attach to the toy. See, Ashley, and then a bunch of random numbers letters on YouTube. Hello, hi. Welcome in. We're making some toys. Oh, I don't want a toy. Get out. I don't want a note. Get out of here. How do I delete you? I've never accidentally added like a note before. Oh, that's how I did that. Okay. Well, interesting. Oh, nope. Don't like any of that. Well, that's just going away now. For real, what are we doing? What are we doing? Get out of here. When did this develop the ability to do this? I don't want notes on my design. Get out of here. All right, so that's our interface. Now, I'm going to take a quick look, and we're going to, boring, maybe aesthetically pleasing, I'd say so. Hey, it's going to work. You know, I'm trying to make it a nice design that's going to look cool. All right, so that's going to be up there. So we got to raise that up a little bit. So let's get it where it's going to sit in the design. So it's 10.7, which puts us like there. Okay. Means I need it raised off the ground roughly 14.92. We're going to call it 14. So one nice thing is I've got the snap set to 1 millimeter right now, so it should move nice and clean. We want that thing 14 millimeters in the air because that's where it's going to attach to the front of the truck. Again, this truck has a really, really low center of gravity. Hey, Joey Nails coming in the chat. Welcome, bud. Yeah, we're making a. That's right, Joey Nails working for the highway up in Maine, working for the state. Oh, setting the alerts off. You picked the perfect one. You went with the behind the scenes Imagineers clip, the perfect clip for doing some 3D design. Joey Nail says, I really want to plow. Yo, after the storm we just had, I think we all do. I mean, my snowblower got the job done, but it was some work. I had to do the driveway twice in one storm, and both times it was like to the tippy top of the snowblower. We got like 20 inches here. Just awful. Awful. All right, so that's our interface piece. Now let's take another look at our reference image here. So that piece is going to go about here on the truck. Now, this is going to sit a little lower on the monster truck than it does on this because obviously, you know, proportions on a monster truck are very different. So I think we can sort of design something very similar to this. I think we can go like really similar to what this looks like. Jerry Nell says 20 hours total in the truck. Yo, brutal. I mean, at least you're in a truck. You got some heat going. I'm sure you could probably listen to some music or something. That part's not so bad. But whew, busy weekend. I bet you picked up some good overtime though. That's what I'm talking about. I just want above freezing temperatures. Yo, Adam, I'm right there with you, bud. I am not a fan of this weather, or really anything that people would consider weather. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in a cube. And what I want to do is, and right now this is the part where we just we're working by vibes. This is vibes. We're working vibes now, because I want to make this look and feel like a plow. And right now, starting from a cube, tough spot to start from. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna, again, this is vibes. This is the part where the design becomes art. I'm looking at this and I'm going, how thick do I want the plow to be? Like, here reads more like a plow for, like, you know, a regular truck. Here's like a city or state truck. I think somewhere in the middle is going to be the right feel for this. You know, something like right about there. And we're going to call it 20, which is the height that it starts at. Nicka Beans, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Happy to see you. Joey Nails, I don't know if you've been here since we announced the big bit alerts. We have all the regular alerts, and you were kind enough to already set one off. We got to see Walt Disney talking about the Tiki Room and the animatronics. There's the alerts, but now we have the big alerts, and the big alerts get you prizes. The big alerts, you can get a mystery box with 3 toys from my collection and 3 trading cards from my collection. It's a grab bag, it's a mystery. You have to be surprised. Or our other bit alert gets karaoke. I will stop the stream right now. I will pull up my list of YouTube karaoke and I will do a song on stream. So choose wisely how you spend those bits. You never know. You never know when you might get something special. Now, we do want the plow to be, I want to keep it just inside the tires. I don't want to go wider than the tires. I know that it's always wider than the tires on an actual plow for obvious reasons. But for this thing's going to be on a little track that we're going to make it. And if the plow's wider, the plow's going to hit the edges of the track and the truck won't keep moving. So we got to go just inside, which is going to make it about 64 millimeters, which is bigger than you might think. All right, so let's go ahead and say 64. Boom, 64 millimeters. So that's our height. Let's get a look here at how our whole interface works. I think that is a solid start. You know what? We might even be able to go a little bit high. I mean, so this will be lifted off the ground. Like, it's going to ride up there somewhere. So I think we could probably go a little bit, yeah, about there I think is going to look good. Yeah, that feels good. All right. But now, this, obviously, I don't need to tell you, doesn't look like much of a plow. We have to remedy that. And the way we're going to do that, I'll take this down to back at ground level. We are going to bring in, let's see, yeah, well, the half one. Yeah, let's go with the half one. All right, we're going to bring in our little half sphere. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow. Alright, we're going to bring this over. And I actually want to go a little bit taller and a little bit under this, because we want this to be bigger than that by a fair bit. And I'm actually going to, yeah, that's, now we're getting somewhere. All right. I think that's, well, you know what? Actually, let's go ahead and bring it up to there. I think that's good. We want a little scoopy on the bottom. And I guess we kind of want the little scoopy on the top. Well, you know what? We can change the angle of it later. All right. So we're going to go ahead and make this nice and long. Like that. Before I do anything else, bring in a cube here. We're going to make a copy of this, Control D, bring it over here. Then this, we're going to make Nice and long, nice and tall. And thick. Like that. And then this piece, we're gonna just make it a little bit, just a little bit bigger. Bring it up. This gets made into a, come on. Correct. This gets made into a negative. And we are going to group those two pieces to sort of make like a stamp. Boom. And this is all going to come together in just a second. Yeah, there we go. So that looks like that now. Now we're going to turn that into a negative. I'm going to shift it back. Shift it down. Now I want to bring it forward. This we're going to turn into a negative as well. Back it up. Yeah, something like about there. Now the tough thing here is that I have a little bit of a hard time knowing exactly how big or small these are. So I'll move this out of the way. And actually I can also see one change I want to do already. Which is I want to go like that. Yep, that's good. And then I want to just bring this to a very slight angle comparatively. Yeah, just like that. And then we're going to bring it forward. Yeah, because we want it thicker in the middle than at the top is really the goal there. In fact, let's get a straight on view here. Because now we can sort of do like this. Yeah. That's what we want. That's the shape. Forgot to ask, did you sell your last Perry figure? I was going to DM you about it. And then squirrel. Because I did not bring merch up to Maine for the big show that I was just there. I was helping with production. No, I still have the last half human, half monster truck figure and the last standard Hasbro Perry figure. I do have both of those still. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we are going to group these. Boom, like so. And there we go. Look at that. Mr. Plow coming together. It's all coming together. Now the edges on this are going to be sharp because it's going to be a lot of work to make them not sharp. And I think it's going to look okay. But I do think that there's a few things we can do to make this a little more interesting looking. We talked about the support ridges on the back of the piece. We talked about there's sort of the edges sometimes. Sometimes there's like an upper lip or a lower lip. I think what I want to do is we're going to copy that. I'm going to bring this way down to like here. Yeah, and from that, I'm going to have to zoom in on that piece a little bit. I want to make sort of end pieces here that because to me, while it's not standard on a real plow by any means, as Joey Nails will tell us, being a professional plowist. That's the term I've decided to use for it. It is very toyetic to do this. Yeah, so we've got this sort of little edge piece. And now I'm going to Control D that. And we're going to move it down the other end. We got to get a nice view here. I want to be able to see what I'm doing. There we go. I am going to have these both just stick off the edge just a hair. So big update on the Mega 64 room, you guys. Last night, Rocco had it with the noises that the chat's able to play at him all night while he's sleeping. And for the second year in a row, in the middle of the night, he just woke up and he unplugged the speaker. He's not supposed to do that. Last year, he did it without saying a word and then jokingly played it off for a whole day as an accident. Like he woke up and pretended to notice it and went, "Oh, geez, what happened here?" And he went over and plugged it back in and was claiming like, "Oh yeah, must have got knocked over when everyone was in here last night doing stuff. Wow." This year he threw out all pretense. He stood up in the middle of the night and went, "You guys, this is too much. That we're not doing this. I'm shutting it off." And he unplugged it. So yeah, he was just this year the facade dropped. He was done. All right. So that's pretty good. Now what I want to do, I want to do those sort of the back ridges, right? So I'm going to copy that piece. And I'm going to see if we can make it work by just coming down to here like that. Yeah, I think this is going to work. And I want to just stretch it through the back like so. But I want to make sure it's, yeah, that's going to be our back ridges. That looks good. I don't want to go any thinner than that because these are very small pieces and I want it to print really cleanly. And have, like, if you think of small pieces on toys, the plastic bits, I don't want to ruin any of the toys I have for the show a toy. If anyone's got a bunch of spare channel points they're looking to burn through and you want to pop a show a toy, I have some examples here. But all the ridges, all the little pieces you see in the plastic, they're always a little bit thick because they have to survive the molding process. They have to make it out. And the same is true of 3D printing. Like it's got to work. You know, you can't just have a piece that looks good. It's got to actually function. Okay, so let's get a top view here, and I'm gonna Control D, and then we're gonna move this to about there, and then I'm gonna boom, 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 like that. That spacing is perfect. I was guessing on the spacing. You know what? It's almost perfect. I don't like a piece in the middle because I need connection points there. Maybe it's okay. You know, I think it's all right. I think it's gonna be fine. Okay. So I'm calling that the front piece of our plow, the actual physical plow piece. That is what it's going to look like. So as we move on from there, now we need to bring back this piece because now we need to start considering all of the placements. And part of that is going to be that this is not going to be touching the ground. Oh, who did it? Who did it? I'm waiting for it to pop up where I can see Adam NX67 pops show a toy. And Adam NX67, like happens from time to time, is going to get a 2-for-1 because I needed an example piece that I was talking about, and I have some prepared pieces that I was going to show. So we're getting a 2-for-1. If you're watching, if you've been using me as a second screen and not watching closely, this is the show a toy portion. I do have, and for the life of me, I don't know where this came from or how I got it or why I have it. But I do have this awesome, very generic toy. Like there's not even any markings on it to tell me like what company made it or even what country it was made in. But I do have this excellent clown riding a penny farthing. It is a wind up. And so the back wheels spin, which makes him pedal when he's on the ground. Really nice. It's just a toy that I always keep around. It matches, let's see, it's not in frame. I'm going to have to lift it up and bring it in frame. I have to turn the light off on it so it doesn't look terrible. Maybe it won't make it into frame at all. I do have a clown lamp that I keep around. I'm gonna mess with my actual well, hey now. I'm gonna mess with my actual video and see if it, yeah, there it is. Now it's in frame. Look at that. I do have this old clown lamp. This is some Perry lore. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll get it up on the screen too, because it's not showing there. There we go. This clown lamp, that is an OG. That is a 1983 stamp on it. My parents bought it while they were pregnant to have me. That was in my bedroom my entire life. That has moved with my wife and I to California. That went with me to college, and now it lives here on my desk in the office. And it is a really great match to that toy. All right, that's our little distraction for the moment there. Oh, come on, play nice with me here. There we go. But this toy is a great example of what I was talking about the size of pieces of plastic that you can have in a toy, because this little coat tail could be, if you were designing it, if you were sculpting it for not as a toy, not as something that was going to be molded, not as something that had to be produced, that could be much thinner. It's a coat tail if you wanted it to be realistic. But instead they go very stylized and they make it a little bit thicker, but that's because it has to last coming out of the mold and the factory. So it's a similar issue that you run into with 3D printing, where if the piece is too small, in particular, we run into this with resin printing because you can get very small parts in the design. The process for actually printing the piece is kind of aggressive on the piece, the way it works. And because of that, you can't make your piece too little. You run the risk of it breaking during the printing process. So with that in mind, we have to keep these of a certain size, and that's why these aren't much thinner. They're going to stay about that size. So now we're setting up how we want this to sit, and I want this whole thing to be up a little bit. I want it up off the ground. And again, this is one that I do by vibes. I just think, like, how much space do I want between it and the ground? And it looks to me like 5.5 millimeters is a pretty good number. So if we go 5.25 is probably fine. If we go about there, that's where it's going to sit. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see. Adam NX67 says, "Oh man, I found that clown bicycle toy on eBay. I don't think it's the exact same one though." No way. Because I'm telling you, there are no markings on here. There is no company name written anywhere. There's no, wait. There is a made in China stamped on the back, but that is the only thing written on here anywhere. So for the life of me, I don't know who made this or even how I got it. I just know at some point I had it. I have a lot of clown stuff around. I have two really nice vintage Ringling Brothers posters on the wall in our room. And then if we pop another show a toy, I've got a pretty great Ringling Brothers mug that I use to hold all my pens and pencils that I've had since I was 7. I missed going to seeing Ringling. I've always been a huge circus obsessive. I missed going to see it because I had to have my appendix out. And so when that happened, my mom stayed with me in the hospital, and my dad took my brother to the circus because they had bought the tickets and we'd been waiting for it a long time. So they had, someone had to go. And my brother brought me back the poster that I have hanging up. It's still in my room. The mug that I'll show if someone pops another show a toy. And they also brought me an old VHS of Ringling Brothers from that era. It would have been 1992. I have that VHS in the basement, and I do have a working player. So at some point we may do a VHS night. I actually a good buddy of mine that I know through the world of Mega 64, Mr. Dr. Ryan. Yes, Mr. Dr. Ryan. He's known for the day before big holidays when everyone has the time off. He will often stream VHSs. He literally puts an old CRT TV in front of his webcam, and then he will just stream VHSs all day. And he gets some good ones. Like he finds some good stuff. All right, now I want this piece to be freaking thick and chunky, because this is what's going to hold these two together. Hang on, let's get that top view again. Okay, we want it to be about there. Pretty well centered on this piece. Yeah, pretty well centered. And then we gotta raise it up till it feels right. And I think that whole piece fits under that bumper. So yeah, let's keep it under, but then we can go higher out here because we'll be past the front bumper of the toy. So once again, I am going to give this a very slight radius because I just think it looks more toy, you know? I think we need this to stick out a ways. Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. We need this to stick out a ways because all the way back here between these wheels, you know, half of a finger is where it's going to connect. And if we have it too far back, it'll be on those wheels. We need it out in front. I didn't even think to measure that. Oh, I'm glad I'm looking into this now. All right. Yeah, we need some space put in there. All right, yeah, we're going to go 20 millimeters again. 20 millimeters. Let's see. So we're going to call this 21. Just to make it safe. Just to make it... you know what? It's going to need to... It has to dip into this piece too. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and group this piece. Just for sanity's sake, it's going to make it easier as we go on here. See, Not Nicobene says, I need a VHS player so bad. I have boxes and boxes of tapes. I know a guy who is a wrestling fan out in this area. A regular, hung out with him briefly at the Aquabats summer before last when I saw him there. He is at most Blitzkrieg shows. That's where I got my VCR. He buys old VCRs and refurbishes them. He gifted me mine because he says he always has spares. I know that when he refurbishes them, he sells them for cheap. I will shoot him an Instagram message for you. That's how he and I communicate. But he's very good. He's very good at it because the one he sold me works beautifully. The one he gave me is a DVD and VHS combo, which is nice because I did not really have a functioning DVD player before that. All my computers are disk drive-less, so pretty cool. Yeah, I will shoot him a message. Don't forget, remind me. You got to remind me because I get hit in the head for flipping. All right. Okay. So this is definitely going to be at an angle. We're not going to leave it totally straight because when it's straight on like that, it feels like a construction machine, like a front end loader. But when you have it at the slight angle like that, that's a snow plow, right? Like that's the difference. All right. So we're going to leave it at 0 for now because what I want to do is I want to build some stuff up on top of this. Because once again, this is our reference that we're working from, and I like the idea of like this little the thing that looks like chains coming out of the front control arm. There's these two arms that come up to this big brace with the lights. I think that all looks cool, and I don't see any reason to not include it because what else am I going to do tonight? This is my plan. You're looking at my plans for the night. Is I'm going to stream this stuff, and then later on I'm going to go back to watching Rocco in the Room on Mega 64. Guys, I am so bummed. I have behind the scenes meeting stuff all day tomorrow, making a lot of things happen for the world of toys, the world of Pro Wrestling Grind, doing some media work, and I have meetings all day. I mean, like 8 hours of like actually meeting with people for things, and yeah, it's the second to last day of the Room, and I'm gonna miss 8 hours in a row of it, and I am not thrilled. But Twitch has been making me a little bit of money, which means the next time they release a solid state thumb drive of the entire Room, you can watch the whole thing. They did it last year. They've done a few re-releases of it. I've passed because it's a little bit pricey. When they do it again, I'm jumping on it. I've got the money. and I want it. I enjoy it. I think it's funny, and I would be sad to not be able to access it. My options are either that, or the other option is I can join their Patreon, which is probably overdue, if I'm being real, like probably overdue. All right, so I'm gonna leave this way out front for now because we're just gonna worry about this piece. And I know that the front of the bumper ends about there, so we can build up from here. So I want to come up. I think we should take this piece as our starting piece. We're gonna. Those who watch, all the regulars, Adam NX67, Nickabeans, Rye, everybody, they all know a thing I really like to do when I'm doing this kind of design work is I'll reuse the shapes. It's a smart way to build, you know? So let's see, if I want this to come up, if that's gonna be about there, yeah, we don't need this to come up super high. Something like, yeah, like even just 6 millimeters is pretty good. Like maybe even overkill. So that's 10. That's okay, yeah, we can go a little bit lower than that. We'll go about there. You be using them shapes. It's what I do. I do be using shapes. Just shaping up or shipping out. Okay, I think we can actually make this a little bit. Yeah, we can go a little bit thicker there. Just got my reminder message from Nickabeans. Thank you. Because I would absolutely forget. It's what I do. All right, we're going to bring this guy up to like here-ish. Lower it down just to get an idea. All right, we'll go to like here or so. I'll forget by the end of the stream. Definitely be using them shapes. Geometry. Hey, geometry was the only math class in high school that I did well at. It's something my wife and I talked a lot about because I have a lot of proclivities towards science. I ended up in the humanities because I was told that I wasn't good at math and science by teachers. In reality, what I wasn't good at was math and science that were not applied. I needed things like physics, where the math was applied and I knew what it meant in a physical space. Acceleration, movement, inertia, all of those things made sense to me. All the rest of math seemed like just nonsense, like nothing happening. Cody Brooks says, since the commercial for the Providence shows this weekend just reminded me, where are we at with new subs for the meetup? Our current number, we stalled out last night at 4. We have 4 out of the 20 we need for the meetup to happen in Worcester. But 4 is a pretty good start considering that's just 2 streams in, and we've got till May. So, you know, we're still in the last week of January. So not bad to be 4, and we're a fifth of the way through what we need. And gift subs count. So anyone feeling particularly generous, I do know that, let's see, I believe, I'm gonna just check here. I believe that I can turn on a discount. There might be, nope, not yet. Yeah, I always keep an eye out to see when the discounts go up on the gift subs, because I don't see any reason people should have to pay a whole bunch of money for that. I think it's the kind of thing that Twitch can let us all be generous on our own. Know what I mean? All right, so do I want the light bar with multiple lights? Yeah, why not? Why not? Let's go ahead and make this wider. Go to about, that puts it about in the middle. Close enough anyway. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And now we need to make some lights on there. Now I'm of course I'm a bit, hey Foldster, You asked for applied, and they give you the path of the particle traces the yeah. Thank you. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, applied math was so much better for me. Geometry, I did great. Understanding shapes and angles and how they affected each other, and learning that at a similar time that I was learning physics, made a lot of sense to me because a lot of physics is understanding, like, equal but opposite reactions, and geometry is sort of a visual representation of a lot of that. Oh, interesting. I loved math, but hated word problems. If I wanted to read, I'd read a book. Oh, man. Fair enough. I mean, hard pressed to get me to argue. So I've been a little torn. I have a trick I could do to sort of make translucent lights on this when I make it. But that's not as simple as the pieces we would get for these toys. So I think I'm gonna skip that. I'm just gonna make something that sort of gives the feeling of the headlights, right? The emotes start flying. Let's see. So I think for that, we had something we used before. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was this one. Okay, cool. Yeah, and this guy. Yes, it's all coming back to me now. Okay. I'm gonna bring this guy in. It's a shape we haven't really used before. Make it nice and soft. All right. Yes. Yeah. And again, this is the part where we're working on vibes. Working purely on vibes. I kind of think it would be cool to have like a bit of an oblong, maybe. Maybe we keep it round. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Yep. This is working. Feel good about that. Yeah. Good contact there. This is one of the things you got to see how much contact a shape has, so you know it's going to come out clean when the print happens. Big, thick, chunky parts like to hold their shape throughout the printing process, but those thin parts, like we talked about earlier, they'll bend, they'll warp, they'll tear. A little tough. Yeah, the situations in word problem. Hey, I'm gonna hop in on the convos here now and again. Yeah, situations in word problems were always a little bit bizarre. Like the obvious, it's sort of like an overdone trope in like stand-up comedy or whatever, but the one of like being on two trains, when do they cross paths? Like, come on, no one could possibly care. Like, unless your dream is to grow up one day to be an air traffic controller, like, no one cares. All those little kids dreaming of one day being an air traffic controller. It's probably, truth be told, it's probably more common than I think. All right, we'll bring it back to like there. And then there and like there. We could probably make this a little bit bigger, I think. Let's go ahead and fill the space some. Let's get that front view. Yeah. Now that's a headlight. Come on. Oh, I totally get it. Now, interesting, like, I always felt frustrated by those same things, and yet then I wound up being an English major, where everything was a word problem. In fact, the only problems were word problems. Control See, and then we're going to try to more or less match it on the other end here. Something about like there, I think looks pretty even. Yeah, there's those headlights. Now, do we keep them round like that, or do we maybe make them a little oblong? Like, the example I pulled up is oblong, right? It's like, maybe that is a little bit more, maybe that looks a little more like what we want. So let's go ahead and just... I mean, it's certainly like a little weird, but I don't think it's bad. You know what I want to do is I want to take all of those, bring them up to like there. And then this piece I'm going to stretch up just... Oh, I brought that one up with it. Yikes. Okay. Is that still good Okay, yeah, we're fine. Wanted to make sure everything was still connected. I'm tempted to make this piece skinnier, like to do like this so that it's clear that it's an arm coming up for these pieces. I'm a little worried on how it'll print, but why not? Why not just get a little crazy, right? Oh, you wish that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me. Jimmy buys 99 watermelons at a store, returns 7.5 for the price of 12 lemon. Outstanding. Okay. Let's see. How do we feel about that shape on those lights? I actually think that shape's pretty good. Now the actual light may seem a little like thick, and maybe it is. I do have an alternative, which is if we go like, yeah, maybe this is the, oh, this might be the move. Let's see. Let's go to like there, maybe. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be a way better idea. You guys ready for this? You guys ready for what Perry's cooking up here? Let's get a nice close-up view. Oh, this is going to be a great reveal if this looks how I think it's going to look. Ready? Come on, do it. Do it. Ah, it's frozen. Okay, give it a second. I think this is actually going to look really awesome. Okay, we did discover problem one, which is this piece, but that's okay. That's okay. We can counteract that by just going like that. Yeah, that has a bit of a headlight read to it. I think that's going to look cool. So I'm going to go ahead and executive decision, lose that. Let's get our top view. Control D. And again, I'm kind of working by vibes here. I don't fret too bad about if this is exactly the same on both ends, but that looks about right. Yeah. Again, this piece is going to be really small when it's printed, so if this is off by a 0.5 millimeter on one side, 1 millimeter on one side, it won't be noticeable. It's you know, at best a negligible issue. All right, now I need sort of our little toe front arm, and then I'm going to put a little like fake chain on it. I think will look cool. Again, some of this is going to be a little rough on printing, but I think if we keep the pieces thick, we can make it work. So I'm going to bring out a little triangle here. I do wish I could round this off a little. I mean, there are ways to do that, but I'm not gonna fret about it. If it's pointy edges, it's pointy edges. The world will go on. Actually, you know what? We were just using a piece that might. Don't overcomplicate it. Remember, toy design. Toy design is meant to be simple. Once again, I'm going by vibes here. This is we're working from feel. we're going to say we want this to fit in between these lights, which means this is going to need to squeeze to like here. I think we'll probably bring it back a little. Definitely make it a little less tall. Bring it forward to about here. Yeah, that's gonna work. All right, because now we can actually stretch it back into there. Yeah, yeah, good so far. Now it's got to be at a funky little angle, so I'm gonna actually make it a little bit thinner. And now we're gonna something about like to there, just so it pokes down a little bit. Bring it back a little bit. Yeah, this pointy wedge is gonna bother me, but I don't think there's another piece where I can round the edges. Yeah, not easily anyway. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So from there, I do want to have a little chain coming down just into here. And then we're going to attach our plow, and that's going to be it for this this front half. Front half is coming along good. I'm feeling confident on this. Yeah, I kind of like the little bar we built with the lights and everything. I'm almost kind of wondering if it could be up higher, if we could go taller on it. Maybe we do something like that. Just, you know, really, we want it to be really visible. Yeah, like even that looks pretty good. All right, yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it a little cartoony. I think cartoony is a good default. All right, so now we have a few different ways that we can make sort of a faux chain here. And I think working with this little tube guy is going to be our starting spot. The trick with this is going to be that I need, let's see. Okay, all right, okay. Let's make it smooth, why not? Okay. If we get a front view here, we are gonna make it more narrow. Oh, if it decides to play nice, all right. There we go. Yeah, we can go about like that, because I want it to have that shape, but I don't want it to have a big opening in the middle. We need it closed up. I think that's going to be about what we're after. We can give it a little bit more tube, because we're gonna link these pieces together to make it a solid. So let's go ahead and shift down, bring it on up. And we're going to be doing a lot of shrinking and moving here. Something about like that. Yeah, I think that's about the size we can work from if we want this to read the right way. So let's go ahead, and I want to bring this up to about there. It's pretty close to centered. Oh, my jumping is too much. All right. That's centered. Okay. Cool. And we are gonna, yeah, there we go. Bring it on back. And now comes the fun. We're gonna 90 degrees that bad boy. Let's get our front view here. We're gonna bring it down so that it's overlapping, just like that. And then I just boop, 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 Boop. Yeah. Look at that instant chain. Now that chain technically connects to the plow, so it can help readjust it, but for us it's a matter of aesthetics. It's got to have the right look. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay. Now comes the part where we bring the plow back. So let's go ahead and say a 0.5 millimeter is a safe amount of movement here, and we do want it at a little bit of an angle. So we're gonna, like literally to about there is plenty. Yeah. Guys, I'm thrilled with how this is turning out. If you think this is coming out good, let me see some emotes in the chat. Let's get a little feedback going here. All right, so we got good contact everywhere. I just want to make sure that this back piece is sunk in everywhere so that it all becomes one piece. We can't have like this. See that little edge there? That to me is not enough. But it also can't poke out the front. Now that should make this all one nice, good, solid piece, and I feel good about that. Just bring this a little bit more forward. I see the emotes flying. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. Now, I could add, I don't think it'll last the printing process, but I was looking, there's always the little poles that are used so that when you're driving the plow, you can see where your edges are. I think something that thin, even like an amalgamation of it, like if we had a thick piece, it wouldn't look right. And if we had a thin piece like that, I think it just wouldn't print. But I think we're going to call that good on the plow. So I'm going to take this whole thing. We're going to group that. Boom. And then I want to make it like a gray, so that later on when we get our thumbnail, it'll look good. Foldster went with all the monster trucks. Hell yeah. Boy, I haven't even had to dip into my prepared toys that I was going to show. I've had the one that we're working on for the show a toy, and then I showed a couple clown pieces for the sake of example. But I have 3 other toys that are ready for a show a toy if anyone pops one. Oh, Adam NX67 saw me going at the coffee. Wisely popped a hydrate, which I am prepared for. I always have my water bottle. This is, for those who've only ever seen it on the green screen where it looks invisible, this is what the water bottle looks like the rest of the time. Thank you. I did need to hydrate. I was definitely overdue for that. All right. So next we need to make sanding bucket. And I need to look up some reference images of this because living in New England, I typically see this stuff at night. So I need to look up some images of what this should look like. Yeah, this is what I'm envisioning. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring the search over here. So something about like this is kind of what I'm envisioning. They have some smaller ones that are like commercial. Like this even is pretty close to what I'm sort of picturing, where it's something like this that goes on the back, a big funnel thing with a release piece for the sanding. And I want to put that on the truck because if I'm gonna have the plow, we better put down some sand, I think. So I think like this is a good reference shot. That shows me a lot of the side. This has like a tarp piece covering it, but I need to be able to see that, and I think that's what we got to design. Yeah, I think something like that in the back of this little truck, it's gonna look pretty slick. So that's what we're gonna work on next. And let me go ahead and open that image in a new tab. Any good references there? I'm just making sure I've got good reference material to work from here. This one's a good reference image. This one shows a lot, but it's kind of small. Oh, actually, hang on. Look at that, we get a little bit of a view of just the piece by itself. That's interesting. Something that sort of splits, yeah, something like this is pretty close. Yeah, the big piece like that. And we'll have a little piece that overhangs on the back, I think. Yeah, if we design it carefully, it'll work just like the piece did for the camper and for the ride truck, where it'll just sit right in there. All right, we have some reference images. We're gonna name this Snow Plow, which I think came out pretty darned good. Yeah, feel happy with that. All right. And we are going to open that in a tab so I have it later. But we're going to create a new one. I'm going to create a new one for this piece so that we're starting fresh. I want a fresh plane to work on. So, sanding bucket. Okay, get the view the way we like it. There we go. All right, so the first step is going to be to make ourselves a little box that is the size of the back of this bed so that our whole piece can just rest right in there. That is going to be step one. So for that, breaking out the calipers again and just taking some basic measurements. Okay. Our interior here appears to be right around 30 millimeters. So we're going to call it 29, because I like to have a little bit of wiggle room. Maybe even 28 and a half. Let's call it 28 and a half. Let's see, if we're calling this the front, then this is the side view, which means we want this to be 28.5. Boom. Okay. And then for our width, we're looking at, it's about 22. We're going to call it 21, because again, I don't want to have to worry about whether it's going to fit. I like having just a little bit of play in there is perfectly fine. It's not a pressure fit. All right, and then for height, because we're going to have this bottom piece just fill the back bed completely. Okay, yeah, we got a few things to work on here that are going to be pretty interesting. All right. It's 3.12. We are going to call it 3.5. Have it stick up a little bit. I'd rather have it be too tall than too short. If it's too short, bottoms out, can't go in. All right. So that's roughly the size and shape of our back bed. So we need to build our little bucket guy coming up out of the top here, and our sanding piece on the back. So let's make our bucket first. And when we make the sanding piece, we have an interesting piece to contend with, because it needs to come up and over the lip on the back, but you see there's sort of a little ridge here. So we're gonna have to work around that. We're gonna have to mold that into the design. Shouldn't be too hard, but that's famous last words, am I right? All right, once again, as always, just giving it the slightest bit of radius there, just because to me that looks nicer. More toy-like. Even if it's a piece you won't really see, it's going to be kind of hidden away. I like that. Again, this is when we switch from the part that's design into the part that's sort of art. We start, as I say, working on vibes. We want it to feel right. We want to have the gesture of a particular piece. So I want this to really fill the back here. I want this to be like a really full piece. So let's go ahead and this starts from a wedge. So we're going to go ahead and bring our triangle out. I'm going to give it the old flip ski. I am going to bring our snap down to like 0.25 tends to be what I like to work on. I'm going to raise it up just a hair. And now I'm going to try to center this as best I can on this piece. That's close to center, but not totally centered. Let's act. Well, actually, yeah, that's pretty much, that's as centered as it could possibly need to be, I think. That'll tell us. Yeah, that's good and centered. Okay. So now, I want this thing to really fill up the back here. Like I want this thing to come right to the edge, just like that. And then really I want the same on the back. Like I want this thing to be like maybe just shy of where the back is. Yeah, that feels good. Now, as far as the height goes, this is partially on vibes, but I want it to read correctly with the height of the cab. So if we go all the way down to the base of that, I'd like it to be a little bit, just barely taller than the back of than the cab, just barely. So we're going to call that 13.8. 13.8. I'm going to make it 13.7 because we're not done with the design yet. There's a little bit more to it. So we're going to bring it up. Wow, this makes it real tall. Holy moly. We're going to call it, let's go 13.25. I think that's looking pretty good, because now I copy this piece, because again, I do be using them shapes. We're going to bring this up. Go like just to about there, just where it overlaps a little. And then I'm going to bring it in to about there. About there. Just want it to overlap. Oh, see, and this is where we need to get careful. So I'm actually going to bring this back just to like here. And then I'm going to make this just a little bit wider. Boom, just want it to be proud of those little pointy bits so that they kind of go away. Something like that. I think we're in good shape here. Let's see, Jammermain over on YouTube. Hello, welcome in. We're doing some toy accessory design. We're currently in the process for a Hot Wheels monster truck. We are making a sanding bucket. This is we use these in the, I don't know where you're from, but in the Northeast, these spread sand and salt on the roads so that we're not slipping around too much on the ice. And we just finished designing this snow plow attachment that'll go on the front of our monster truck. And now we're working on the sanding bucket. All right, so what I want to do now is I think I'm going to use this same piece again. Well, not even. I don't even have to do that. We can go simpler. We're going to take this guy. North Virginia. Okay, so you get a little bit. I bet. Did you all get hit with the snowstorm that just happened? I bet you did, didn't you? It was pretty widespread on the coast out here, so I wouldn't be surprised if it hit you all as well. Up here, I'm in western Massachusetts, northwestern Massachusetts, and we had some 20 inches in about a day and a half. So I did my time with the snowblower this weekend, I don't mind telling you. All right, so we are going to do that, and we're going to bring this up to about here. And now we're going to make it nice and skinny. Something like about like that. Oh, you're a foot under. Roger that. Yeah. It's been a week. It's certainly been a week. You know, we're all buried right now. All right, and I'm going to actually make this a bit taller just to disappear into there. I'm going to bring this into about there or so. And now we can, oh, that's actually pretty well centered. I was kind of guessing, but that looks pretty good to me. Used to date and visit a girl in West Newbury. Oh, okay, so you've been up this way. West Newbury out in eastern Mass. Sort of the known to be the home of John Cena. Oh, your mom lived in Amesbury. I wrestled in Amesbury. I'm actually the date may have just gone by underneath me here on the ticker, but I wrestle for a company in Amesbury called Rad Pro Wrestling. So yeah, I get out to Amesbury every once in a while. We our wrestling venue is actually just downstairs from a bowling alley. There is a candlepin bowling alley called is it Riverside Lanes? River something Lanes? That is in the same place. All right, so that's okay. So we want to Control D, and now I'm just gonna. Because I think we probably only need 3 of these, maybe 4. Do we want to go 4? Let's go 4. We'll go to about there, and then we're going to go boom, boom. And we're going to try to make these about even with the piece here. I think that's going to be somewhere right around there. Okay. And once again, we're always checking against the model to see, and you can see how these are sort of these support pieces here. So I think we're coming along pretty well. Next, we're going to design the back piece that is our spreader here. And once again, we come up to a bit of an interesting difficulty here, where on the rear of this truck's tailgate, there's this little hitch that goes up, and we have to get up and over that with the piece we're designing. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna. This is a great idea. Again, I often am doing these designs on the fly, kind of figuring it out as I go. I'm going to raise this whole piece up in the air a little bit, and we're going to make a dummy piece of this. We're going to make this entire tailgate as a negative space so that we can stamp it into whatever we design to leave space for it. So to do that, we're going to bring in one of these negative cubes. This is they call it a hole, but I think of it as a negative space. And let's see, let's get a straight back view. We're going to bring it way up over here. Make it nice and wide, because this is going to mimic our tailgate. Now the tailgate is at the same height as this. That's the back bed there. So we're just gonna bring it right to about there, because it's just gonna mimic the piece that we're trying to show here. Yeah, that's gonna work. Okay. And for just a second, I'm actually gonna turn that off, and we're gonna see if I go that way, it connects, and then boop, freedom. Beautiful. So we don't want to cut any of that piece off. That piece is already sized how we want it. So now, make a copy of this piece. And this we're going to bring up. I'm going to measure the difference here, which is very little. It's a very small piece. But that's what these digital micrometers are so good at, is getting you some nice exact numbers. We're going to call it 4 millimeters. So right now it's 12.25. So we're going to call that 16.25-ish, give or take, because I am rounding up on my sizes a little, so it doesn't have to be exact. And then for the width on that piece, We are looking at 8.84, so we're going to call it like 9.5 just to be safe, right? Like I don't want any surprises here. So we're going to call that like 9.5. Feel good about that. Now let's go ahead and get that nice and centered. Something about there ought to do. Again, I'm rounding up on these because I'm giving them a little bit of wiggle room. Not a pressure fit. All right, and then both of these need to be about the size of this lip here. The thickness of which is, if we're being safe and giving it a little bit of wiggle room, we're going to call it 3 millimeters. Boom, and boom. Okay, and just like that, we've created sort of a space holder for this back piece here. And that's giving me some good images to work from here. It's giving me a really good idea of what this will look like. And I will say I'm actually going to make this a little bit shorter because I want this to sink down into the truck bed a little bit. I want it to be lower than that back bed, you know? All right. So from that, we're now going to start working on our spreader arm. This the little sort of spout piece here. And this is going to be a piece that we're doing based on vibes, where we just want it to feel right. So I'm going to start with a cylinder. Bring the sides way up on that. And we're going to bevel it a little bit, but we're going to wait till we get it down to the size we want. So let's bring it about here or so. I'm going to say that feels about right. And then we want to go about here, maybe? Something like that. And now we'll bevel it in a little. Yeah, that feels good. And for segments, we can bring it up so that it's nice and round. Okay? That's looking pretty good. Let's get a good... Hey, Herobotic, welcome in. See, oh wait, Adam NX67 says you need to have a false count anywhere match where the wrestlers go into the bowling alley. So I'm not allowed to give anything away, but that's absolutely something they're planning to do. I don't think that I'm lucky enough to be a part of it. I think someone else called dibs. So we'll see. I'm trying to politic my way into it, but Herobotic, my good friend who's in the chat now, will be one of the first to tell you I've never been great at advocating for myself. I have a long history of being walked all over. Now, I think it's the plight of the millennial. Am I right? I mean, we all kind of have that problem. All right, so that's looking good. So now from there, we sort of want like a pyramiding up piece and then a piece that connects on into it. So let's see. I want to take, yeah, actually this little pyramid piece is going to do the trick for sure. We're going to mirror that. Give it the old flipperoo. Stretch here. But you're Three Belts Perry, champion of the oppressed, friend of the children. Yeah, you know, if I was good at politicking for myself, I'd have more than 3 belts. That's how you can tell I'm not good at it. I'm 18 years into my wrestling career, and this is the first time I've had that many belts. All right. And actually, you know what? I think I kind of want to... Yeah, I think that's what we got to do. Got to go about to like there. And now I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to steal one of these. Control D. Bring it on back. Bring it on down. Just going to... I don't want this to take up too much space. I don't want to come to about like there, maybe? Yeah, we're going to group those. Group. That's what I'm after. Okay, cool. That's what I needed. We need to stretch that up some. Get our back view. Oh, Aerobotic says, where is the bowling alley? The bowling alley we're referring to is in Amesbury, Massachusetts. And it is upstairs from where I wrestle for Rad Pro Wrestling, the comedy wrestling company that is a period piece. If you've ever heard anything more me, it is a period piece set in the, would be just pre-Attitude Era. Currently, they have moved into 1997 is the year that they're in. That's where I wrestle as Fresh Youngman, the casual cyclist. Okay, I'm going to bring these up to like, let's call it like here. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, good. All right, so we've got a good part of our spreader arm here. And we're going to bring in another cube. Call that old reliable. Shrink it on down. Give it a little bit of a radius happening here. Whoa, that was a little too much. All right, there we go. Just a little bit of a radius. Can even ease back off just a little more. There we go. And again, I'm sort of trying to match what I'm seeing here from our reference image. Bring this down to about there. Get it centered. Future 7-time Tour de France champion. I mean, I've got some great jokes for that, but none that I think I can really say on the stream. So Aerobotic, message me after. I'll tell you the funny joke I was about to make that I thought better of. I'll even bring this to like, oop, right there. And then this I'm actually gonna bring out there a little bit. We're gonna let it all kind of be out that way. All right, and now we got to do a little bit of some trickery here. I think we gotta. First thing we're gonna do. We're gonna. Oh, I didn't realize that piece was not centered. Okay, let's get that more centered. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the other piece that's not. What's going on? Yeah, that's not really centered anymore. I don't know when that got out of whack. Okay, now we're good. Now we're good. We've recovered. We've recovered, everybody. All right, so for this next piece, I want to make a copy of that. Control D. Make it taller. Thinner. And then We're gonna try to center it a bit. That's actually not bad. Wow. I keep getting lucky. I kind of just get things right, I guess. Who knew? All right. And then we need this sort of rounded, we need one of these, sides all the way up. Pop it on end here. Bevel the holy heck out of it. Increase the segments just a little. Well, maybe all the way. Yeah, I think all the way looks pretty good. Shrink it down. Bring it down this way. Let's get a straight view on the back here. Bring it up. Bring it over. I want to get that centered. So about there. We're going to go to something like that. Now bring it back like that to about there. Non-aligned Whirlo is telling me about where viewers are. Thank you. Thank you, bot. Thank you. It's very helpful. Thank God I finally know where the viewers are. Do is take this, I'm going to Control D, bring it back a ways, make this a bit bigger but mostly longer, and then I'm going to put this at just a very slight angle. I just want it to come down like that. Yeah. And let's see what happens if I just womp, womp. Can lose that last one. Yeah, we just kind of want the indication of like the little tunnel that the sand is falling through. I think that looks pretty good. And that's going to do a nice job of staying out of the way of this piece. I kind of wanted it to be bigger so it would kind of hook on there, which we can do. It's gonna undo a little bit of the realism. I'm okay with that, really. Let's see what we can do to just make this bigger. Long or that tall, really. Now we got to do a little cleanup work to make this centered. That's centered. That's centered. Okay. I think I even want to make another one of these and kind of go like this. So I want this thing to really, I want this piece to really cut in here, you know? I mean, I could just, yeah, maybe I will. I do like this. Yeah, that's kind of the piece I'm looking for. Something about like that. I'm gonna have to just in a little bit. I don't want it poking out the side here. Let's get it centered again. Actually, kind of nailed it. All right. Okay. So I believe that's going to be our design for this. I don't think there's really much else that's needed. Let's compare. Oh, you know what? We do need something else. I spoke too soon, you guys. We were gonna let me call it a day without doing the fun part. This is where this starts to look really cool, because this whole thing is supposed to be full of sand and salt that's being pumped out of here, right? So we're gonna Control D. I'm going to shrink this a bit. Bring it up to like there. I'm going to make it a negative. And then kind of come up to about here. Bring it to like there. My brain is melting from a full day. Hey, no problem, man. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot you with the joke I was gonna make. Kind of thing where I knew better than to say it on the air, so to speak. I'm gonna Control D. Not Control Z. I wanna Control D. And then we're gonna bring it over to like here. Then we're gonna do it again. Now I'm just gonna kind of center those three on that. Again, just by eye. Just by eye. It doesn't have to be exact. All right, I feel pretty good about that. So, with where we're at now, we're going to make this all one piece. This is all just about to become the thing here. So here we go. It's going to reveal what I've been working on here. We've got the little openings where sand and salt might go. I feel good about this. This is very machine looking, which is what I wanted. It's got all the important parts. I think it's going to hang off the back of the truck really nicely and have a cool look. I'm very excited to get this this printed. If I get it started tonight, I might be able to have it cleaned off, dried, and cured before we go live in the workshop tomorrow night, because we will be live in the workshop tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, painting up some of our accessories for these monster trucks so that we can have them on the toys themselves. Yeah, I'm feeling good about how this looks. I do want to make it like a silver. You know, I want it to look like it should look. Now, this is empty. That's a no good, boss. We gotta have some stuff in there. So I believe we have like some, yeah, here we go. There's like some shaped stuff here that people use for when they're making like their Minecraft or you know there's rather their tabletop stuff. This sort of like dust and dirt shape here. And that's what we're going to use. Do they have one without the wood around it? Kinda. Yeah, that's what we want. We're going to lose that. And this is going to be our texture for some dirt inside this. I'm very excited that this is still here. I didn't know if it was still set up in Tinkercad or not, because I don't use pre-made shapes very often. But let's go ahead and let's get a top view. We're gonna bring it to about there, by about there. And then we want it to hit about there. Let's make sure it's not sticking out. Yeah, of course it's sticking out. Of course it is. So we're gonna have to make it shorter and then bring it up until it's no longer sticking out. And shorter again. I love that they have some sort of like terrain stuff in here, and they have nice simple ones now. All of them used to be kind of complicated for how they ended up looking, which presented some problems when I was doing some very simple design work. But it looks like they have some nice simple stuff now. And that looks pretty good. I think we could even go a little bit shorter on it and still have it look pretty good. Yeah, something like that. That looks like a pile of sand and dirt sticking out. Love that. Come on. Come on, you guys. All right, we're going to make a copy of that. Get an above view, and we're going to bring it over just till it lines up with the next spot that we made. And then because we do want this to look different, we are going to mirror it so that it'll look different. That's feeling good. All right, do they have a different one we can steal from, or is this kind of, I think that might be it for now. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to Control D that. Bring it down to about there. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring it to like the halfway mark. We're going to Control D that. Bring it over till it feels good. Something about there. And then that piece I'm going to mirror. And now we've got 3 different little piles of dirt in the back of our thing, ready to be sent off as sand. Feel good about that. All right, that looks great. Okay, and that is our designs for the day. I'm feeling good about this. We got it done a little bit early, which means we have time to make our screenshot together. So, what we need to do, we need to hop into a fresh Tinkercad here. And we need to go into all of my designs. And somewhere in here, we have the truck that we've been using for a lot of our thumbnail work. It always takes me a minute to find it. Nickabean's dropping the seeing like we can't use this one because it's not a truck. And we've got something that has to go in the back of the truck design. Let's see, what was my 5th truck design? What was this? Was it a pickup? Because if it's not, we're gonna have to, yeah, not quite a pickup. Although it is a cool design. I had started on a Mack truck design, so good to know. Noted. See, we got the old Mad Tank design. I know Nickabeans has seen that one before. Rye as well. There's a pickup body. There's the single print for chassis. Eventually I'm going to do a lot of cleaning out of this because there's a lot of designs that are no longer really super relevant. Okay, I think this one should work for me if it wants to open. Yeah, this was the one that we dropped the camper on for the thumbnail the other day. So this is a good one. We know this one works. All right. We're going to go ahead and remove the camper because that's boy, there's a lot to that camper. Good for me. I did some good design work. We've removed the camper. Now we're left with just sort of a generic Matchbox Superchargers body. Going to copy that and drop it on in here. It's going to need to be mirrored. Like that. And then we got to lift it up because it doesn't go on the ground, it goes up. Somewhere like right under that front bumper is how we designed it. Come on, once they get in the shot together, how cool does that look? I am exceedingly happy with how this is coming out. This is very cool. front view. We'll get it nice and centered. We can actually probably bring it down a little bit. Something like to about there. And now we'll back it in until it attaches. And I'm just going to sink it right in like that. Let's see, how's that? That looking good? We need to come forward just a hair. Just till those are not touching each other. There we go. Well, that looks pretty good to me. All right. I wonder, should we make this yellow? I often see snowplows being sort of a yellow color. That reads like construction stuff, right? Whoa, hey now. Everybody be cool. Maybe like that. No, that definitely reads. That's Tonka. Actually, that's snowplow yellow, right? That looks like a snowplow. Let's see. Going back to our reference image. Yeah, that reads like a snowplow picture. Yeah, that's got the same vibe. Even a white truck. Look at that. Okay. I'm feeling that. All right. All right. Now we got to go. We got to take this guy. Copy him. Drop it on in here. And this one we're going to have to size special because this is sized to a different toy than what we're looking at here. Clearly. All right, let's get a side view here. Bring it to like there. Even a little bit back from there. There we go. Something like that. Actually, it's not a terrible fit, truth be told. And then we're gonna see if we can get a view where we can tell when it touches down here. Now this would have wheel wells to contend with on this design, but it's not for this one. So we're okay. I don't mind that little interaction there. It's not an issue because again, the toy we designed it for does not have wheel wells in the back bed. All right. So I think we're going to need to stretch this to make it fit. I think it'll still look fine. Yeah, that still looks great. Look at that. It even comes up and over the back just like I designed it. Even though it's designed for a different toy, it totally fits. Ha! Outstanding. Yeah, feel good about that. That looks great. Kind of hilarious. Ah, very cool. And that's what we're going to use for our thumbnail. Now let's get one last little comparison image here before we call it a stream. So we have our sanding bed here, which I think we really kind of nailed. Like that's how that should look to my eye. I think that looks great. And I do love that we have the sand kind of overflowing on top of it. Very cool. And then for our snowplow, we have our reference image here. Yeah. Guys, come on. This is a project that I put off for a little while, not because it was intimidating or anything, but because other ones came up first. The ride truck, the camper, those sort of came up first. Now what's nice about these is when you're printing on the printers I have, which are not exceedingly large printers, when you're printing for something the size of a diecast monster truck, which is not a particularly large toy, There are a few cool advantages. The first is I made two pieces here. I made the sanding bucket and I made the plow. They should both print on the same print. They'll fit on the print bed together and print all at once, which is really nice. Even on a small printer, they'll print in one go. The other thing that's nice is that because it's so small, a lot of the details, now I kept my details very broad. You know, these headlights are very broad. That chain is very sort of big and thick. Like, I kept the details broad. You know, I didn't do any really fine, small, nitty-gritty work here because it doesn't really show through in the final product. When you look at a toy like this, and this is something that's die-cast metal, you can put really fine detail into it, like the work on the grill there. Even then, they keep it pretty broad. They keep the details kind of large, because when you narrow it down and you get it really small, you lose a lot of that detail. What we're seeing in this truck design here, this little fine mesh, some of that does come through on my resin printers because they're meant for that. They're meant for very fine detail. But by the time you've painted it, by the time you're looking at the piece, because it's so little, it doesn't land, it doesn't read on the eye. And toys are broad. The details on them are large. To that point, I'm going to show a couple of the toys I prepared for the Show a Toy because I want to show this exact point. This is, if you're familiar with Kinnikuman, the muscle figures. When I was in Japan, they have their essentially, what are their vending machines? There's Show a Toy. They're getting redeemed anyway. They have their the gachapon, they call them. It's their little vending machines where the toys come out in a little ball. They're very popular. Stores with hundreds of these little machines, sort of like what we have at grocery stores when you'd get a little toy in a little bubble. They had a few different Kinnikuman ones, a few different muscle figures. This one is actual die-cast metal. That is the main character, Kinnikuman. And he is if you hear that, he is metal. He is hard metal. And even with him, where he's cast in metal, where you get a lot of fine detail when you cast in metal, they kept everything broad. The fingers are kind of all one piece here. They're not separate. That's because, again, when you're demolding, you want fewer small pieces to be destroyed. Similarly, the other toys I was going to show off this stream, which you're all getting to see now, these are my toys from when I was young. These are from, oh my gosh, I don't even think there's a year on them. Holy cow, no, there isn't. Or if there is, it's long since kind of scuffed away. But these are OG figures. These are original from when the show was first airing figures of Beavis and Butthead. And you'll see they've done something I really like here. They use the cartoon style to their advantage, where the ears don't really stick off of the character. They've drawn them in instead. Same can go for some of the detail on the nose. They've drawn it in instead of had it come off 3D. The hands are molded directly into the figure, and the fingers are sort of drawn on. And that's because, again, the molding process can be very difficult, very complicated. And you want as few failed prints, or in their case, as few failed mold pulls as possible. So they keep the designs very simple. That's why, like, you can see the elbows and the arms are not apart from the figure. It's essentially like part of the figure. So yeah, these are all great examples of why I keep so many of my toy designs really simple that way. I like to have parts that touch, parts that overlap. And it's because if you don't do that, if you go for hyper-realism, Perry, can I play with your toys, please? I am Cornholio. If you go for hyper-realism in these parts, like, for example, what they do in the Kings of Crunch series with my Crimson Crusher toy here, which is an incredibly realistic representation of that monster truck. I mean, I would have killed for toys that looked this real when I was little because I wanted them to look like the real thing. But it doesn't look like a toy. You know, it looks like a model or a collectible, and really that's what it is. all that hyper realism takes away from the toy vibe. And I like when things look like a toy. You know, you hear the term toyetic used for something that has the aesthetic of a toy. And I feel that. I really feel that. Because, you know, if you asked me which looks more fun, which looks more cool, the old Beavis and Butthead from the 90s or the modern era Crimson Crusher, I think this one's cooler. They're both great, and I'm psyched to have them both in the collection, but there's a certain feel to that mass-produced old school toy where they cut a few corners. They made some key artistic decisions, if you will, specifically with the idea of producing these toys at scale and in a way that they would not break and fall apart on everyone. So that has been our stream, guys. I think we did a great job. Let's get one last look at our hard work here. Our plow with the direction arm and the chain and the headlights, and it interacts and connects with the toy. We got the support pieces on the back. We got our sanding bucket with its disperser, all the support ridges, and even some dirt coming out of 3 separate wells on the thing. I think we've done some really cool work here, and I'm very excited. Whoa! Oh, who did we get? What did we get? Ah, the go round. The Grizz crew raiding, coming running in. Thank you guys so much for dropping in. You're getting here right as we've wrapped up some work in Tinkercad. You know what? Since you're here, we'll review it real quick. You can sort of tell what we've been working on. We'll start with the sanding bucket. This is a sanding bucket we designed today. We designed this as an accessory to this old school monster truck that we're going to turn into our snow removal truck. And that bit you're seeing there, that sanding bucket, complete with sand and everything, just bloop, pops right into the back of the truck. And it will just sit in the truck. It'll just go right on. And that is designed to look like this. There it is. Designed to look like this. And of course, that's not all we did. We also worked on this snowplow, which has a lot of great detail. All the backing pieces. We got the little chain arm that helps direct it. Some headlights kind of on there. And that is designed to look like that. I'm thrilled with how this all came out here. I think we did some really good work. It took some doing, you know, getting arc shapes like this that are very custom. And really, I think the trick to designing these and to getting these to come together in the time that we stream, which is the hard part, right? Getting these to come together in the area of a 1.5 to 2 hour stream. That's the tricky part. If I had all day, of course, I could design this stuff. The real trick is the thought that goes in ahead of time. This is a project that I've been planning on for maybe 3 weeks, and kind of in my head churning over how I can utilize different shapes, how certain shapes can be reused as stamps to create other shapes, and really thinking through keeping the design simple. This is something we were just discussing about classic toys like these Beavis and Butthead figures from the 90s, how they molded the arms into the bodies for the sake of, you know, being able to pull consistent toys out of a mold. That's stuff that's really important to making something feel like a real toy. And once again, Grizz Crew, thank you so much for the raid. You did come in right at the end, but we're going to return the favor. We're going to pay it forward, and we're going to do a raid ourselves. The question is, to whom? Because we got a bunch of cool folks out there streaming right now. I know Frank Howley is streaming. I believe... Let's see. It looks like Johnny Torres may have wrapped his stream. Let's get a look. Let's see who's on. I know Mega64 is streaming, and they're in the room. Johnny Torres is still up. Should we raid Johnny Torres? He's playing Moonlighter 2. Mega64 appears to be... Let's see what's going on in the room with that crew. Mega 64's got a special guest in the room harassing Rocco. Frank Howley, what is he up to? What's he doing? Frank Howley is he's doing some work on his stream. He's redesigning some things. Okay, I think the choice is probably to raid Johnny Torres. But let me see. What do we think? What do we think? That's true. Max is also streaming. Let's see. Rye says Johnny Torres. Nickabean says Johnny Torres. I'm inclined to go with Johnny Torres. So that's what we're gonna do. Johnny Torres got back on streaming earlier this year, and he is crushing it. He is a blast. So we are going to head over to my most frequent travel buddy, Johnny Torres. Shout out to Ryan Nickabeans and Cody Brooks and Adam X67, who were all in the chat early, all active in the chat. Shout out to Foldster, one of my 3D print pals. And shout out to the Grizz crew for the raid right at the end of the stream. And we are, as always, paying it forward. Shout out Joey Nails, who was gifting some bits earlier, popping in, talking about snow plowing. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and I will see you over on Johnny Torres' stream.